All right, everybody, hello and welcome to mock interview number 127, featuring a software engineer with a topic of linked list and matrices. My name is Albert. You are here on the Albert's List platform, and I'll be your co-host today. We teach people how to job search, land their next side hustle, or start their next side hustle, and work with AI so that they can be indispensable in their career. With me is my co-host Fong. Fong is a career coach, ex-DoorDash, ex-Walmart, and IBM, and now he's at a Web3 company. He's got a question today based on a topic that Kevin, who is our mock interviewee, has asked for in linked list and matrices, and Fong will go ahead and kick that off. So Fong, handing it over to you.
Hey, boss. Thanks for having me as usual, Albert. And yeah, nice meeting everybody here. And appreciate your time today, Kevin. A little intro about myself for folks that haven't been here before is, yeah, as Albert said, I'm a software engineer, been in the field for about 10 years or so. I've been tutoring and mentoring folks for the past pretty much around like COVID time. That's when I started doing this. So it's been a good 5 years so for now. So yeah, that's kind of a long and short version of it. Anyone have questions, need mock interviews, feel free to reach out to Albert. Without further ado, hand it over to Kevin. Do a quick intro for everybody, then we can start.
Hello, I'm Kevin. I'm a software engineer. I recently graduated from Hack Reactor in March. I'm currently looking for getting my first job in the field, and um, that's about it.
Cool. Yeah, I also graduated from Harvard. Yeah, that was back in 2016. So that's 10 years ago. Very, very long time ago. The classes was a lot smaller back then, what I heard. Yeah, so more or less, yes, I'm somewhat familiar with what you do there. So again, this is how we're gonna do this. We are going to run this occasionally. If I see some kind of like problems in your thinking and stuff, and I might break it out to give you some kind of feedback into it, just as I do with everybody, because this is not a real interview, right? So when you fumble things like that, I give you some kind of general advices on how to navigate this, and it's okay if you don't know all of if you cannot get the whole answer. In the actual interview, you will need to, but however, here I'm happy to kind of guide you through some of these parts. So yeah, with that said, this is going to be the problem. So I'm going to talk about the problem first and then give you kind of like the input and what the output's supposed to be. Then we can go from there. So we're going to do a matrix problem. This is going to be two parts. I'm going to ask one part of it at a time. This is going to be, again, similar to what the real interviews is going to be. Usually you will be expected to solve about both parts of this problem, but depending on how far we can go, can kind of go forward with this without that. So pretty much it's going to be a matrix problem. The first part of this is the matrix is going to fill with a bunch of strings for each of the squares. And I'm going to give you a word in it. Pretty much you're going to return a Boolean value, whether or not that specific word exists in a matrix. Fairly simple. So what it is saying, this is going to be the matrix input, and I'll put in the chat. And if I'm giving you this word, this is going to be true. The next word is also to be true also, right? But if this is going to be, because you cannot find A, B, C, B in there, right? So that's pretty much going to be a problem. Feel free to use a IDE and code it. You don't have to run the code. I will be able to tell whether or not it's going to pass or no. So yeah, that's going to be the problem. take some time to think about, and feel free to ask me questions.
So does the word have to be in order?
Yes.
Like, okay, so the
It
word
can it
has,
can it can wrap around, like for example, SEEC is a valid answer, even though it's occupy four bottom squares.
okay, so it has to be uh
The exact words.
in the exact order, but it can go back around.
Oh, it can go back around. It's a good question. So if I ask you if the word is DFB, it is true.
Okay. Uh,
As long as they
yeah.
exist in, well, you cannot be like DBF, but DFB is a valid word.
Wait, DFB, so it can go in reverse?
Yes.
Wait, so it can go in reverse, but it can't be DBF? Is
Yes, it
that
cannot be, you cannot mix them up. It has to be in the right, it has to be continuous.
okay? Okay.
Mhm. Feel free to share
So
your screen also.
yeah, so I have CloudDraw open. So I'm getting a input. It's going to be a matrix of strings, and the output is going to be a Boolean.
Mhm.
In terms of constraints, currently there isn't any. In edge cases, there, um, I guess it can also be in reverse. So I
That's
have
not
to,
that's not really an edge case, right? Because it's a matrix.
yeah.
You should be able to traverse them in any order, right?
So it just has to be continuous.
Yep. Like you
Okay,
cannot mix
so
up the words. So if I give you BFD, you have to, BFD.
yeah. So my first thought is maybe check if I can find the word, the first letter of the word, and then check both forwards and behind the word to check if there's the next letter of the word is inside of the matrix. Um that'd be my first idea. Can I kind of try to pseudocode it,
Uh,
or should I just
One sec. So you're gonna just basically naively find one characters at a time. Is that what your thing is? And then if you find all of them, then it's good. Otherwise, it's no. Right?
yes.
Cool. Yep.
So um so first I would need to get two inputs, which would be the matrix. So I guess this would be a constant here. So in here, I would have to iterate through the matrix and find the first letter in the word.
Okay.
Um, then once I find that first letter in the word, I would iterate backwards and forwards through the matrix to try
What
to
do you mean
see,
by backward and forward?
like I would have, in terms of
The
the naive
matrix is
approach.
the matrix is four directions, right? What is backward and what is forward?
So can I'm gonna try to take in this. examples. So,
Yep.
oh, what? I was trying to copy the thing in the, okay. It didn't let me copy this example for some reason. Oh, there we go. This is not, oh, there. So, uh, this matrix here, so a valid one is A, B, C, C, E, D. So I would find A, and then I would go forwards through the matrix and try to see if the other letters are there. And once I find those letters, I can take them off of the string. Um, like maybe I could use a, a stack or a queue to check if the letter was, and then just take it off of the stack. Yeah.
What would the step? Wait, the step. Okay.
So
What?
I could put the string into a stack, then pop off um from the stack whenever I find that item, and then I'll just keep going until the stack is empty. And if the stack is empty, I can just return true
Why
because
would you need to do that? Why can't you just go through the string one character at a time?
oh, so like I guess it's yeah. Or actually what would be better is maybe have a pointer to the string. Um Something pointing to what index I'm on, and once I find the letter pointer, I can move the pointer forwards.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and once that pointer uh reaches the length of the string, I can return true.
Okay. So you just have a iterator. When you get to the end of the string, you know that you have found the whole thing. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I'll try doing that. So uh okay, so I would have to get the pointer and then let me just write a quick test to make sure at least the correct answer. And then the target, wait, is it A, B, C, C, E, D? Okay. All right. So, okay, so I have a pointer to the target, and then I have to iterate through the matrix. Let me first try to do it just forwards, so I could have at least some idea of where to go with this. So I'm gonna first implement, so I'm gonna first iterate through the matrix.
What are those things on your screen is kind of blocking people? It looks like some kind of overlay. I would
Overlay?
highly, Uh, there are like three things that blocking the screen. I would highly recommend you to use like incognito so that random things doesn't pop up into this. Because
Oh,
there are
okay.
things that
I'll
blocking like
just
everything. Whatever they are, you should not have them.
oh,
Just a quick one, you actually would get into trouble in an actual interview if things like that showed up because for whatever they are,
okay.
you can get yourself in trouble. So I mean, there are still like three things blocking you. Uh,
I see what you mean.
there's like three black boxes in there. Whatever they are, they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, they're just for like simplifying job applications. I forgot to turn those off.
That's fine. Just a corner. You should make sure that yeah, because people you can get flagged out pretty on the interview.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
They're still there. They're blocking
Wait,
like half of the screen.
half of the screen?
Yeah, they
Um, What?
whatever they are, they should.
Um,
I can paste it into the chat so that you,
Blocking half of the screen?
yes,
Uh,
that's what they look like. Uh, I would highly recommend not to have. They're still there. Reason I'm saying this is because using helper tools have been kind of a problem in interviews. So if people see those things, they will just fail you right away. So that's
Helper tools? I'm not sure.
no. I mean,
I'm trying to
I'm not
see.
saying that you're using. I'm just saying things like this will can get you disqualified for the interview. Yeah. Or maybe it's a Zoom window. If you click on the screenshot I just sent, that's what it looks like for everybody.
I'm trying to look at it, but it doesn't let me see it for some reason. Um,
You can share your entire computer and then maybe that would go away.
yeah, let me try that. I don't know why that's happening.
That's fine.
Is it going away now?
No, it's still there. Yeah, that's they look like your extension or whatever that just covering everywhere.
Extension? Really? Sorry. Um, I don't know why.
Yeah, the top right one is like a zoom thing, and then there's two bars that just right in the middle.
Two bars right in the middle.
Yep. I mean, it's exactly what the screenshot just shared. Yes.
The problem is I can't, for some reason, I can't see the screenshot. Every time I try to save the photo, it kind of, I don't know. It just,
If you just share your whole computer, it might help.
that's what I just did just now. I shared my entire computer.
Those things are still there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, whatever those are.
Oh, I think that's just like, I think what this is the Zoom thing. Let me just hide it.
Yeah. I Zoom tend
It's
to
the
have
Zoom
those
meeting
comp
control.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was blocking my screen. Sorry.
Yeah. No, there's still like two more on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, that's
Can you slide them away? Yeah. Okay, one more left. We almost there.
wait, one more. Oh,
Yeah, that's the last one.
uh, think it's for some reason I accidentally turned on the where is it? I want to turn this off. It's closed caption, so I don't know why I turned that on.
Yeah, they look like Zoom controls.
Oh, there we go. Did that take it out?
Oh, now mm, this is the best one. That it's still blocking, but it's I can read. Okay, there you go. Now everything is good. Yeah,
Now everything's good?
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, just want to make sure you don't run into this because sometimes if people see random
Yeah,
issues, they might like, what's that? And then yeah, just best way is to do this. Like if you do an interview, do it in incognito so that you don't get random pop-ups and stuff like that. Because
yeah.
yeah,
I think the pop-ups were mostly just Zoom. Because it was the meetings controls. You set the big ones in the middle.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
was all Zoom.
That's okay. Yeah, just yeah, just a quick call out
Okay,
for you to make sure. Yeah, cool. We
got it.
can we can continue.
Then okay. Uh, so at each point, I can check. Uh, I guess I could check. Yeah, up
Okay,
here.
so
The
before you keep going,
yeah,
let's discuss this. How would you solve this case? So say if your target word is ABFS, right?
ABFS. Yeah.
Yep. Now you go from A, you find A, then what are you doing next?
Well, I'm currently iterating to the matrix, so I would go to B, and
But
then
are you going left, right, down, or up first?
I'm I'm going.
So you iterate it, you find the word, the first word, A.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
Once I find the first word, I'm just gonna go to the next word in that. I guess it would be the um. It's usually hard to tell because of how this is formatted, but it would be the next word in that row.
Okay, so you go right side first. So you find
Yes.
B next. Then you go right
Yes.
side again. You go to C, but C is not the correct word. Then what are you doing?
Then if it's not the correct word, then I just keep going right and I don't increment the pointer to the target.
Then what if you get to E and it's still not the correct word? Then what?
Then I'm moving to the next row and looking for it.
Okay, so S is not the correct word, so you find F. You are
Yes, I
you are
find F.
you are still going right side, but the correct word is S for the next word, right? If it's A B F S, how,
Yes.
how would you find S if you keep going right?
Well, I would just continuously go right and then here I would uh I guess once I find it here, I would check, okay, if P is equal to the
Oh,
length of the
hold up,
target.
hold up, hold up. Before we keep going. I mean, P is an well, if you only find F, so you found A B F. But
Yes.
but you are keep going right. How would you find S? Because your thing is you go one row at a time, right? You go A, you go B, you find A, you find B, you check C is not correct, E is not correct, S is not correct, but then you find F. That's the correct next word, but you are still going right. How are you going to go left?
Wait, so I thought it had to be all like one continuous.
It's continuous. A, B, F, S is continuous.
Oh, so it can
It,
go
You can wrap around
left.
or it can go back up. We talked about, right? Like DFB is a
Okay.
valid, is true if I give you the word DFB because it's other direction also.
So it doesn't matter the direction it goes in.
Yeah,
Uh,
correct. I mean,
as long as
I
you,
gave you the original thing, right? A, B, C, C, E, D is the correct word, right? A, B, C, C, E, D is the correct word.
oh, I see now.
Mhm.
So it just, they all have to be connected.
Yes.
Okay. Then maybe this approach of this way to iterate probably isn't the best. So if I have to check, I guess first I would need to check for the first letter, then check around it. If um if I can find the second letter, how many ways can I go? Can I just go up, down, left to right then?
ABFS is the correct word. So if my target is ABFS, the answer should be true.
Okay. I meant like I can't go diagonal, right?
No, there's no
Okay.
diagonal, only four direction as of a matrix.
Okay. So okay, so I'll have to rethink of how to go about this then. Then first I would have to find the first letter. So I still have to find where the first letter is. So once I find that first letter, uh, what's this? I can maybe mm, maybe check. Um, uh, so I would have to check up, down, left, and right for the next letter. If I can find that next letter, then I increment P and um, I keep going uh, until I either find every letter or I iterate through the entire matrix and I can't find anything, then I would just return false.
Okay, so with your strategy, if I give you the word, say BFB, it would return true with your solution. Because you find
Yeah.
B, you go to F,
So
and
I
then
gotta
you
make
go forward, and then you see B again.
so I gotta
Right?
make sure I don't go to the direction uh I can't go to somewhere I already am. So I need to have some sort of keep track of um to make sure that those indexes haven't been seen. So
Which indexes that have seen? Is is everything you traverse through marked or only some of the traversal through is marked?
only the words that I found should be marked. Like if I found that word to be the word in the letter, it should be marked. Um, maybe I can append some sort of uh number to it or do something to it to make sure that I don't go back to it. Um, can I mutate the matrix or am I not
Sure,
allowed to?
you can mutate it.
So maybe I can change it to some sort of number, maybe -1,
Okay,
and
that's valid.
then that will make sure that I can't go back to it. And then If I don't, but then if I don't find it and it's a part of a different one, then it would take it out.
Sure. Yeah, you can mutate the matrix too. I mean, that is a decent solution. So you can attempt to write the code. So I break out again. So this is one of the things that's important, right? You want to kind of get to your solution first before writing code. Like you shouldn't, because at the beginning you jump in, you wrote the code, and then I pointed out the cases that is not the right thing, right? So to save you time in actual interviews, you should always yeah, try to get a consensus like, cool, this is what we're gonna do, and proceed with that. Right? It is applied for both the this kind of interview or system design also.
Okay. So I will go to the matrix, just find the first word and then or first letter in the word. Then while um I guess I could say while the word isn't found, like while I will continuously look up, left, down, right. And if I can't find the next letter, then I'll just break out of that loop.
And then yeah,
Um,
and then you can probably return false, right? Because it need to be continuous, so you cannot find it. You can terminate the.
well, what if I find that first letter again? That's kind of what I was thinking. If I find the first letter again and it does r- become true, like for example, uh, if I'm looking for ADE, if I'm
Yeah.
here,
Mhm.
then uh D isn't in any of these spaces, so then
Mhm.
this will return false. Um, so I would have to find the second instance of that letter.
And on top of that, you will need to remove the
Yes,
mutation.
that's kind of why I was kind of hesitant to mutate because I would have to reverse the mutation.
Mhm. But you can always just return it to the original values, right?
Mm, yes. Um, maybe it's hold. Uh, but what if I'm somewhere inside, like nested into this iteration, and I mutated several instances? Then changing them back might be a little troublesome if I,
It depends on how you do your traversal. So if you do this as a BFS problem, okay, so I'm gonna break down again and give you some advice. So you do this as a breadth first search problem. You can always remutate them by you keeping a list of their coordinates, and then if you cannot find it, just go look through your list and override everything. It's one way to do it. If you do breadth first search, you do depth first search, then at that call stack, if you cannot find it, you just return it back to that call stack and then put the and then put the original value because this will still be inside that same function, right? Because it just be a recursion. You just do recursion for direction, you cannot find it, you return false, you see false return, and then just preset the thing. So either way will work for you. You can keep the list of things that have traverse more, you know, or you can do it as a recursion, then it's still stuck in that call stack.
Yeah. I was thinking of possibly doing recursion as well.
I tell you, recursion is actually the easier way to solve this problem.
Okay. Um, so if I were to do it recursively, I would have to first it's kind of the same idea. So I would have to still find the first letter, maybe have some sort of once I find that first, I can maybe call another function um that will look on all four directions. Maybe like
Mhm.
maybe have some sort of function that looks up, left, down, and right, and then some sort of place to keep track of. And if I don't find it and the function returns false, then I'll just return it back to its original value. Everything back to its original value.
And that's what that's the easier way to do it if you do recursion.
Okay. So let me kind of run this through. So I'm gonna still keep this pointer to know what point in the target word I'm at. And then once I find the first letter, so I will iterate through the matrix, find the first instance of the first letter, then I will call another recursive function that will look on all four directions
You should just
until,
call, yeah, I mean, you should just call it itself, because if it's a recursion. Yeah.
and then,
So let me ask you this. So you have the right idea what is giving you trouble right now, so I can kind of give you pointers.
so I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around how
How to
uh,
write the code.
how to, how to make sure I don't go back to the same spot.
You mark it. We already said that's the correct solution, right?
Yeah, but it's mostly just finding the first letter. Once I find the first letter, how is every subsequent letter going to be different from just finding the first one? It
They should just be the same. Subsequent letters doesn't matter. Because if you do recursion, I think your issue right now is you probably have just general problem with recursions, right? Uh, the first letter or the second or the nth letter should just be very much the same thing. I mean,
okay.
yeah, it should, because if it's a recursion, you should just, the point is that you need to figure out whether or not that current position is having the correct letter. And then you go to the next position, you check if that next position is the correct letter. If not, then you just, go back up the recursion chain and then you reset the.
Okay. So,
We have about 5 minutes. It's fine. If you have issue, I don't mind to kind of show you how to exactly do this problem.
okay.
You have the right
Uh,
idea. I think your actual execution is you're stumped because you cannot visualize a recursion.
Yeah, I can't really.
Yeah, that's okay. This is generally the common issues. It's recursion is weird, but recursion is a easier way to do this problem. Okay, cool. Then for the sake of time, I will write the code, just help you would kind of see it. So I will be sharing my screen. Uh, and you know, and it will help you. You can see my screen, right? Cool. So you have this matrix and you need to find some target, right? And you're gonna have a function, I'm just gonna name it. I'm just gonna name it solve. It's gonna take in the matrix, the ball, whatever, right? And then certain target word, right? Cool. So we agree that we should do a recursion, and then if we find the character, we mark it. If we don't find it, then we just don't mark it. And then if we cannot find it, we need to unset the correct thing, right? So for these things, you should do it in two different things. So I would have the internal function. This is going to be your recursion function, more or less. This one should the whole point is that we should just need to check at each of the coordinate, right? At the specific coordinate, and then check the index of the index of the word at index to see if that coordinate is the same as the word, right? At that index, right? We need to check word at IDX, whether or not it's the same as more IJ. This is the main thing that the main concern that we have for this kind of problem, right? Cool. So if you do DFS in a matrix, you have to kind of check, you have boundaries that so these are one of those things that you should automatically write before you really have to go so far. So something is that if I is smaller than 0, it's out of bound, right? Or if I is greater than what the board length -1, then it's also out of bound, right? In these cases, you know that it's false, you just return false, right? Similarly, for J, it would be the same. I length. Both of these are just out of bound problem. Out of bounds. Out of bounds, right? Cool. So we have this, right? So as you said before, we need to be able to mark something and then be able to unmark it. So how do we mark it? Well, we just keep track of it as so here. And oh, what the hell? And we just need to, at some point down here, if it's true or false, then, because it's a recursion, you can very much just do this at some point, right? Because this would practically unset this setting, right? You just reset them back to it. Now you just set this ball. You can mark it as what you said, equal -1, right? And put it false, whatever. When we see that, we know that it is an invalid, well, not invalid square. It's a square that we have found before, and we just make sure the snake doesn't come back in and, bite its own tail, right? Cool. So now if we set it to false, that also means that there is another case that we need to take care of is if the board at I and J equal to false or -1 or whatever. If this happens, what does it mean? This means that it is one of the characters we found before, right? And we also return false, right? All right, so this makes sense so far, right? Very, very straightforward with it. Now, the other cases that we have to kind of we have to think is that, well, under what what circumstance is these things false? These things also false when we go to the next from you one, if you add a spot and you kind of branch out to four direction, which is if this current is different than what different than the word at that index, right? Then this is also false because that's not the right word. You have to look in the other direction, right? Right. So now, when is it is going to be true? As you said before, if the index is gonna be the size of the target input, then that is going to be that means that we have found our solution, right? So that means that if the index is equal to the word dot length minus one, right? If it's the size of the input, then it is going to be. So this is when we find our solution, right? Cool. So now all we need to do is when we find but this case does not hit unless we get all the way until the end of it, right? So now all we need is we need to traverse in four direction. So for the folks here, this is one of the tricks that you can do to kind of quickly traverse in four direction of a matrix without thinking too much. You don't want to just do like if this and that. What you want to do is you write in forecast whatever the is 1, -1, 0, 0. Or you can do 0, 1, 0, -1, whatever. But make sure that is two zeros, one -1, and one 1. And column, same thing. Now you opposite it. For if the top is 0, bottom is 1. If the top is 1, bottom is 0. Okay, this is how you are going to quickly traverse in four direction. This is stuff that will save you a lot of time to not writing a bunch of code in the actual interview. Now you just do this let direction, you go into four direction. So you just say if DFS at you just need to do I is the original input plus rows at D and then J plus columns at D, and you pass in the next thing is index plus one, right? Because you go to the next character. Now you just traverse into four direction. So if this output right here is true, so let me do this now. If DFS output equal true, that means that we have found one of the thing down. That means that we have found the complete word, and you just simply return that back up to the call stack, right? Return true. Now, if you cannot find it after you go to four direction, what did you do? Well, you reset the board right here, right? And then you return false. So this is pretty much going to be the DFS that you need to kind of traverse it. For the rest of the problem, all you need to do is just look through every single character in the board. Oops. And then you just need to check for all of them. So output equal for I, J, right? If this output is true, then you return true. Else, if none of that happens, then you return false. That should be the solution of this problem. Any question? I think your issue is that you understand you have to do this. You just get really stumble on how to get into the little details. That's okay. Understanding how to solve them is one thing, writing the code is another thing. So any question on your end?
No, it's kind of what I had in
Mhm.
mind. I just didn't know how to write it down.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you're still pretty new, so something like this, it's not uh you know it's not something that's normal. So I mean, normal is in the right way, but it's not something that you've seen before. So I will post this in the chat that if anybody wants to see this. Cool. Yeah. So I would suggest a few things that I would suggest. You try to go through the mock the mock code quicker, like the pseudo code quicker. Try to kind of get the understanding with the interviewers on what you should be doing, right? Because you had a different assumption than you stated, then it's not right, right? You should arrive at the correct solution. Then when you write a code, it's all about writing the correct code and not about, go back and change what your original. That's why sometimes I pause you say, wait, but yeah, like what happened after this step, right? Because that's something that you should kind of get out. Yeah. Any question?
No. Um,
Yeah. Thanks for
Makes sense.
yeah, thanks for having here. Again, I think you would get better. If you get closer to, getting actual interview, feel free to schedule. I don't mind to run these stuff again, but yeah, glad to have you here. I pass it back for Albert.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Fong. If you're looking for to do a mock interview, reach out to me. You can find me on the Eventbrite page, and we'll definitely set up some time for you here. In the meantime, we've got a lot more events coming up, and you can also find Fong on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect, ask him for advice, take advantage of his coaching program that he has. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you again back here soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks, and talk to you all later.
All right, bye.